Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And we are we're gonna in the why am I struggling with this? With St. Patrick's Day coming up. No, St. Patrick's Day has already passed. Let's start over.
I can't reopen the bottle, but okay.
Man, okay. That was horrible.
Holy smokes. You have a stroke over there?
You would think I started drinking already.
I was wondering.
Go ahead, don't say it. What are you going to talk about?
I was going to say, usually you drink on the podcast, not before.
Oh, man.
Pre-game.
I don't want to start over. Screw it. We're going with this.
All right, roll it.
So with St. Patrick's Day already passed us, we thought we should try a couple of Irish beers.
Yep.
And so Brian has brought 4 different Irish beers.
Yes.
And I found some Guinness Infused Cheddar Cheese at the store. So I thought we'd try some of that as well.
Man, this is getting so fancy.
It is super fancy.
I unfortunately didn't have the budget to go to Ireland to get these beers, so I did go to the Papillion Hy-Vee and did a little off-the-shelf shopping. So I did a mixed 6-pack, kept 2 for myself, and I brought 4 other different Irish styles today, so that's what we're going to do.
I would say there's nothing Irish about the Papillion Hy-Vee, but you never know. I don't know.
It was decorated kind of nice.
Okay, well, there you go. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You too.
All right, so what's the first one we're going to drink here?
Well, I'm going to open up. I have one open already, and it's, well, we were kind of talking off mic before. This is going to be kind of a macro to the super macro episode for us.
Awesome.
So this first one, everyone's had this beer, I would think.
Okay.
George Killian's Irish Red.
Okay, so I go way back with this beer.
Right.
Way, way back. This is, so my college roommate, and I don't expect that he listens to this because he has nothing to do with healthcare, lives in Kansas City, works part-time, like he'll drop off the grid for a while, works overseas on drones.
Oh, wow.
And he'll like disappear for 3 months at a time. Can't say where he's going because it's top secret or whatever. I'm not making this up at all. His name's Brian Schmidt. Brian was in the Army for 3 years in Germany, right out of high school, then came back and went to college as I was going to college, and was my roommate. Looked like Chewbacca. He was probably 6'4", long hair, wore the birth control glasses, the ones they issue.
The BCs, they call them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And man, that
they work too, by the way.
Yep. That boy could drink. Man, he could drink. And this was one of his favorites. Killian's Irish Red was one of his favorites.
So we'll drink this one in for Bry's memory here, huh?
All right.
Wherever he's at, working on drones.
Wherever he is, yeah. So,
cheers to you.
All right. That's exactly how I remember it.
Yep. Well, you know who makes this?
No.
Miller Coors.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're macro.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with these beers. You're going to find out there's not a whole lot of micro brews, places making these sorts of things.
Okay.
So this one, I did a little research on the brand itself. The original recipe is from Ireland, so we've got that going for us.
Okay.
And it was brewed in 1864.
Okay.
The place it was from was called Let's Brewery, and that was in Enniscorthy, Ireland.
Let's, L-E-T-Z?
Letts.
Close enough.
Yeah, very similar. It was originally called Enniscorthy Ruby Ale when it was first brewed, and it was by some dude that just brewed it at his house.
Okay.
And it was good, so we started a little brewery, and they ran it for about 75 years.
Wow.
And then, whether or not they were going out of business or he wanted to sell it or something like that, Heineken bought the name and the recipe.
Yuck.
For France and Europe.
Okay.
And they continue to make a beer that has this recipe, and it's available in Europe. And then in the 80s, Miller Coors said, hey, we kind of went in on that game. So they bought the rights to make the same beer, the same recipe. They have this name on it.
Okay.
This is the name of the guy that founded that original brewery.
So the original brewery was founded by George Killian.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had one of those families where they named George, the second, the third, the fourth, that sort of deal.
Sure.
So the last one in the line, I think, was the fourth, and he was kind of rubber stamped the deal in the 80s.
Was he? I assume that family's still getting royalties off this,
I would
right?
assume they're getting something, yeah.
Something.
So this is widely available. Anybody can get this in the United States, which is kind of why I picked it. I didn't want to go too microscopic for this big beer drinking, holiday. So
Right.
anybody could find this out there. It's kind of got a biscuity sort of flavor to it, I think. It's kind of sweet.
There's some sweetness to it, yeah.
Yeah. Not unlike the one we had from Memphis, that red.
Correct.
So it's kind of like that. And it's just an easy drinker. This is 5.4%.
Okay.
With, I think it's had like maybe 25 IBU.
Yeah, it's not bitter at
So
all.
no, nothing like that.
So for someone who has never had an Irish red before, like this would be a very good one to start with.
Yeah. It definitely has a sweetness to it. So I wouldn't want to drink a lot of them,
No.
but a big icy mug of it would be pretty good.
Yeah,
Go with that.
that's true. Our nice the little taster here will do just fine. If we got a couple others to go through, but you're absolutely right. With some corned beef or something like that, that'd be pretty fantastic. Or some kraut.
Ooh, sauerkraut. For you non-kraut eaters.
Yep.
You a fan of the sauerkraut?
I am a fan. My stomach is not a fan. How's that?
I mean, is it so bad that you can't deal with it?
I just have to stay home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your family's not a fan of the sauerkraut?
Yeah. I usually have to stay in the basement.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would still eat it, though. I still enjoy
I mean,
it.
it's not so bad that you won't eat it.
Right. Well,
You just have to
let's
sequester yourself.
absolutely.
All right.
I have a feeling I'm not alone on that. I think other
Probably
people are
not.
like that too.
So you're not you wouldn't be putting it on your hot dog at the Cubs game?
No, that'd be bad.
Not in public.
I'd miss multiple innings, possibly.
Need a pinch hitter here, quick. So
Not a good idea.
I'm gonna work on this one now.
Okay.
This is for the listener who's not seeing this because they can't see anything we're doing. This is a Guinness,
Yeesh.
and it's spelled DRUGHT, pronounced draft.
But it's
This is the English spelling of the word.
drought.
So I'm gonna open this and see what happens.
Ugh, okay. But, whoa.
Did you hear that?
Holy mackerel. So here's the thing. I used to watch, what was the show with John Taffer? The show with John Taffer. Help me out, somebody.
The Bar Rescue.
Bar Rescue. There we go. And they did an Irish pub one time, and they sent their bartenders to Ireland and they do this at the Guinness brewery. They teach you how to pour a Guinness. Like there is a method. Like there's a whole day's worth of class on how to pour a Guinness. Which is
You'd have to be certified, I think.
Yeah.
To be an actual traditional Irish pub or whatever.
now Guinness does one of these things where like the bubbles cascade down as you pour it. It's fun to watch. I don't understand the science behind it.
Luckily for you, I went into it a little bit today on my research.
I knew you would.
But not too much because I'm not smart in the science ways.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep it dumbed down because I was in dumb kids chemistry in high school and stuff. I was in the delinquent class.
I just want to understand why the bubbles move down.
Well, you want to get right into it? Let's get right into it.
Sure, why not?
All right. So this can, and we'll see it more when we finish the beer, has a piece of plastic in it. It's a round ball.
What?
And in the ball, there's a hole. And what they do is when they fill this up in the brewery, in the canning line, they shoot a little shot of nitrous in there, nitrous oxide,
Okay.
into that little round plastic thing that floats up to the top.
Okay.
And then they seal the can, right?
Okay.
So it's got nitrogen.
Okay.
If you're drinking this, usually in the tap, you're going to see it. It's called on nitro. That might be the shorthand you'll see it as. But it's nitrogen oxide, basically.
Okay.
That is, let's put it in lay terms because that's the only way I understand it. It doesn't evaporate or it doesn't dissolve very well like carbon dioxide does in liquid.
Nitrogen is heavier, correct?
I think so. It makes smaller bubbles. I understand that.
Yes.
And unlike this one, see, we poured that and there's no bubbles or head or anything left at all.
Nope.
This one is still standing there, and that's on design. They spent, I think I've heard something, maybe $15 million trying to figure out a way to do this for bottles. They used to make Guinness in a bottle, and they had a similar contraption.
Okay.
Basically, when you open it up and air gets to that, and when you're pushing down on the can lid, it activates that nitrogen in that little canister that's in your can.
Okay.
And then when you start pouring the beer, you usually want to pour it hard. Any other kind of beer, you want to, kind of go slowly and softly.
Right.
Nitro beers, you want to just shake them almost. Like just pour it in there and it just agitates that and activates it so that it gets that creamy, because that's what you're looking for, is a creamy consistency, almost like a milkshake.
Yeah, it looks like you've got a little like ice cream milkshake thing on the top there.
Yeah, and that's why, and that's on design. So when this beer was first made, 59 is the first time this beer was created.
Okay.
There's no refrigeration. There's none of that sort of stuff. There's no taps that they're using. So they're using casks. So basically just wooden barrels that they can change the gravity of and pour beer out of, right?
Okay.
So to achieve this sort of situation and taste profile, because this is the way you're supposed to have it, kind of like you were talking about, they would train you for a day on a current way to do it. Back then, they had almost, I would say, it was like a month's worth of time to show you how to do this.
Okay.
Because it was like more than just science. So they had two different systems of beer. They had a cask up top, and then they had a cask down low. And they would pour about 3/4 of the beer, the pint, into the glass from the bottom one.
Okay.
And then the top one, they'd rip it open and hard pour to get the foam. So
Okay.
that was like a foam-only cask of beer.
Interesting.
So you had to have the timing of the pull and the pour right. You had to have the amount correct. You had to let it kind of settle down. And what I found out in my research was it was supposed to take you a full minute to pour up a pint.
Wow.
So it was like definitely by hand, artisanal for sure, and that was the way they did it. All the way until the 1950s.
Okay.
And then they decided that they wanted to try to figure out a way to do this sort of thing. And that's why we have it this way now.
So it seems to me like who invented Guinness? Like is there one dude that came up with
There was a guy, and I can't remember what his name is. I didn't write that down, but
Jerry Guinness.
Jerry Guinness, we'll call him Jerry McGuinness.
Sure.
For the Irish
Why
part.
you gotta Irish it up there for him?
Even extra. But it was, let's see here, 759 it started. By 1769, they were already exporting beer to England. So in 10 years, they're making enough to send it to there. In 1866, I found out they became a public company. So it's shares and stocks.
Okay.
And the day they went on sale, it was 60 cents a share, which seems like probably a pretty good amount back then.
Back then, it seems like, that's pretty expensive.
In 1914, they were double the size of their closest competitor, which is Bass. In 1930s, they were the 7th biggest company in the entire world.
Wow.
So when we were talking about where's who's more visible in the world right now, is it Guinness or Budweiser? It would be Guinness worldwide.
Worldwide.
And here's some interesting stuff I found. Before 1939, if you worked at Guinness and you wanted to get married to a Catholic, you had to quit. You could not work there. They were like, no, that's not happening.
What?
All the way until the 1960s, they wouldn't hire a Catholic person to
Wow.
work there. And then that's now changed in the last 50 years. But and then, let's see here. They poured porters in their tap rooms all the way up until the 1970s, and then they stopped making porter totally as a style.
Interesting.
And then they just started them up again in 2014.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Well, it's because they started expanding lines here in America to try to get to that American craft beer market.
Understood.
So they're making all those different beers and styles here. Like I think we talked about that earlier. The blonde. They make 2 porters. They make an IPA. I've even seen.
Yep.
It's on nitro. It's in a can just like that.
Which I've tried, and it's interesting. It's an interesting take on an IPA. How's that? It's definitely. It almost seems like what they think an IPA should be, and by they I mean somebody not from
Not an American
not
style.
an
Yeah.
American
Right.
or have brewed in America, which is totally fine. It was it's an interesting take. Having an IPA on nitro is weird,
Yeah.
but
I think it's interesting because, like, as we're spoiled here in the United States for craft beer, and IPA particularly, but most of them weren't here since the 1980s, right? Like, that's when the
Right.
craft beer boom started.
right.
They've been making pale ales over there, India pale ales, for 300 years almost.
Yeah, for a long time.
So that's who made these beers, it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around. There's a place that's been making these beers longer than we've been a country.
So I'm going to tell you right now, I have not been a fan of Guinness.
Yeah, me neither.
How's that? But I don't know if it's the style or what, but as my palate has changed, I'm open to trying it again.
Well, what do you think right now?
I don't know. I'm gonna give it a whirl right now and see. It still just has that like little creamy thing on the top there. I like it. I like that a lot.
This is why I brought in the extra glassware today, because I thought we don't want to be mixing too many styles in with that. So I thought ahead on this one.
I don't know, man. Okay,
so here's my take on this.
Okay.
If I had never had an actual stout that we would call a stout here, or a pastry stout or something with some more body, this is passable for a stout, right?
Yeah.
It's 5. Is it 5%? I think it's 4%. That's the alcohol on this one. To me, it just tastes like, oh, there should be actual. Where's the flavor?
Maybe that's what I'm missing.
It tastes roasty and
Yes.
kind of almost chocolatey or smoked, but that's just from the malt that they're using. But if you look at the bottom of this thing, it just looks like a diluted, what we would call a stout, maybe, or a brown. To me, it's closer to a brown than a stout.
So I brought in some Guinness Infused Cheese, which basically looks like cheese with like weird spider webbing
Guinness
in it.
veins in it.
Guinness veins. So I'm gonna give this so I tried the Guinness here. I'm gonna give the cheese a shot. I cut you a little chunk there. So
Yeah, thank you.
we'll see how the cheese is. I really don't get any of the Guinness in the cheese at all.
Me neither.
No,
But it's good cheese.
it's good cheese. It's like aged cheddar or whatever. I think it's more just a gimmick for the for grocery stores and stuff like that to sell more
some
cheese.
around St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It worked, didn't it?
It worked for me. $6 for that little tiny wedge that I bought right there. Even my wife was like, "What are you doing? Well, we're talking about Guinness, so we need to eat some Guinness cheese."
It pairs pretty good with the beer, though. Did you try that?
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm feeling about that one. Just like, meh. I mean, I know,
Yeah.
like, there's people that collect Guinness
Yes.
stuff, right? Like collectibles.
Like Coca-Cola collectors,
Yes.
like Guinness level.
And I have a friend that is in Lincoln, and this is like his favorite all-time beer, and he's super Irish, which I think is probably one of the reasons that he loves it.
Yeah.
Because maybe he has to. But I mean, for me, I'm not picking this. I don't go to the place, and maybe once a year would I ever get a pint of this in a bar.
I don't need.
It also goes against, for me, I like things cold to drink.
Right.
And usually on a cask, or if you're getting this over there, it's not cold.
It's not
room
cold.
temperature, which is freaky to me.
Which
I don't
is
like
super
it that way.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife's cousin spent some time. A couple years back, he went over and just kind of drove through Ireland with some friends or whatever, and they just pick a town and they would stop, and if it was a cool town and they would hang out at the pub and drink, they would just stay there. Like they rented a car and they just drove through the countryside, which I think sounds amazing.
I've heard it's a beautiful country. I'd
Yeah.
like to go someday.
But that's it. He's like, the weirdest part was like all the beers there are warm. Like
Yeah.
it was super weird. It was hard to get used to.
And when I was in Europe, that was the same way. Like, you couldn't even get water with ice. Like, they were like, what? No, we don't have that.
That was like when we were in Russia. Like there was, you couldn't get ice. Like it just wasn't a thing. They would look at you weird. That when they'd pour you a pop, and it was.
Isn't Russia just mostly ice?
You would think so.
I would think they could have
Even
some,
when
but
we were in Siberia, okay,
that's known as a place that's cold.
no ice. Super weird.
That is weird.
And I may or may not have eaten horse while I was there. Not 100% sure. Well, I couldn't read Russian, and it was meat. It was
And you were
stroganoff.
hungry.
And I was hungry. And it was good. I may have ate it 3 times. I don't know. Who knows? Not sure. To me, it'll be beef. In the back of my head,
It's tall and lanky beef.
it was a little stringier than beef
gosh.
should have been.
Oh, boy.
But it was yummy, and we ate there often. So yeah. So there you go.
Hey, when in Rome.
I guess. Okay. So
Here's the other thing I have for this, real quick. This style of beer is on purpose different than English style stout. This is a dry stout.
Okay.
And that's on purpose. They wanted to be different than that sort of stuff. So this is on purpose. Because England, was making milk stouts and sweet stouts and adding stuff to it, kind of like we do here. And they were like, no, we're our own thing, and this is what we're going to do. So that's the reason that it is this way, is on purpose, and it's been this way for 200-something years.
For years.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research and found out it was super weird because the Wikipedia page does not list this at all. I was confused when you would just Google Guinness Brewery, and the first thing that came up was Baltimore, Maryland. I thought, well, that's weird. I know they're in Dublin. This is not, or whatever. Turns out bless you. Thank you. There we go. Turns out Guinness just opened their first American brewery in Baltimore last August of 2018. So it's not even a year old yet.
That's pretty crazy that 1759 is the founded date, and they just now are here.
Opened here in the States. But what I also found out was they are not making this beer here.
They only make it there, right?
They only make it there.
Yeah.
Only there. And they were very clear about that they're making the American style Guinness beers there, whereas the dry stout, is only made there in Dublin.
They made it in the 80s. They bought a company in England, another brewery and distillery, and they were making this beer in London for a while. But then until the 90s they quit, and now they only make it again in Ireland. So
interesting. So the little bit that I know here, the location in Dublin, it's called the Guinness Storehouse. It's open 7 days a week, 9:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. The last admission is 5 o'clock. There are so many. That was not a good face you made there.
It was just a lot of work.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
And even with my opinion about Guinness, if I ever found myself in Dublin, I would go here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to get it at the source, right?
Right.
I mean, maybe it's life-changing.
Maybe it's different. Yeah, so they're open late July and August. I guess that's their summer-ish months there in Ireland. Now, the Baltimore location is interesting. And
Wait, it's open at 9:30 in the morning?
9:30 in the morning.
In Ireland?
Well,
okay.
Well, yes. Come on.
All right.
It's
I thought you were talking about the Maryland one for a second there, and I was like,
No.
oh, that's pretty early. Maybe they have a brunch.
No, it's definitely more the American version. The Baltimore version is actually in Halethorpe, Maryland, which is just outside of Baltimore.
Okay.
Guinness Stout is not brewed here, but you can get it. They have it there. 5001 Washington Boulevard, Halethorpe, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. Brewery and tap room hours 3 to 9 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 to 10 Thursday, noon to 10 Friday, 11 to 10 Saturday, 11 to 9 on Sunday. So very Americanized hours.
Yeah, for
over
sure.
there. So maybe if you're Irish, they let you in early. I don't know. I doubt that somehow. So
here's a little bit more history on this from the guy that created the nitro portion of this.
Okay.
His name was Michael Nash, and he was a mathematician. He was a professor. And in 1951, Guinness hired a whole bunch of people that had nothing to do with beer making, and they wanted to innovate.
Okay.
That was the whole reason. So they hired scientists, and this guy...
What year was this?
1951.
Okay.
And they spent years working on basically the nitro process and how this thing works. And for him to start working there, they had to train on every job in the brewery, in the brew house.
Okay.
And they trained on those for let's see, I think it said a month to 2 months, depending on what the job was. Mm-hmm. So they cleaned stuff. They scraped out things. They made, whatever you could do in a brewery,
Sure.
This guy had to do, the math teacher.
All right.
And then he came up with a way to do this, and also came up with what they call the widget, which is in the can. Mm-hmm. And they got a...
Wait. They actually call it the widget?
Yeah, they call it a widget.
That's fantastic.
Which is something like, what do you do? Oh, make widgets.
Make widgets.
Well, you can actually make widgets for this beer.
Awesome.
And ever since 1969, they've had a patent on this device. And that
Guinness patented the widget.
It sounds like... I don't know if you can hear it here,
You can
but
hear it kind of flopping
it's
around.
like a spray paint can kind of sound. Mm-hmm. It has that ball in there. So when the beer's totally gone, you'll be able to see it. But
Can we cut it open and look at it after it's...
that's what somebody did online. That's how I watched a little video of it.
Interesting.
So that's what I know. So the guy that came up with that was a mathematician hired by Guinness to innovate, and he did it.
Wow.
So that's what I know about Guinness.
Okay, well, there you go. I guess I've known some people over the years that have sworn by it. That just when you go to a place, they order a Guinness. Doesn't matter what else they have. That's what they order. So
Well, I think it's very consistent. Like it has not changed in 300 years ish almost. So I mean, you know what you're gonna get. So I'm gonna get into my little lunch bag here.
what's the mystery machine have for us next?
Well,
As we go down the Irish beer.
what was the one you
road.
told me that was your favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah.
What was my favorite? Smittix.
Yeah, I purposefully didn't bring that.
Bastard.
So I got Murphy's.
Oh no. I've had this and I didn't like
And I
it
got
much.
this one. I got a Boulevard Irish Ale. So
yay.
we're gonna do a little the closest thing I could find. So this is the smallest brewery, even though it's still a huge brewery in the United States. This is the smallest one that we're gonna drink today.
I actually made a comment to a friend of mine as we were leaving a bar on Friday. I pointed to the sign and said, I want to try this, but I'm not buying a 6-pack of it.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
So I will open this one, the Boulevard one.
Okay.
We'll let this one just warm up a little bit to get that cork temperature because that's where it's from. Cork Island.
Does the cork temperature?
You drink it warm, man. I'm trying to warm it up.
All right. So Murphy's is a close cousin to Guinness here? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean it's the same. It's a dry stout from Ireland. It's been around since. I mean, it's a newbie. It's only been around since the 1850s. So,
Okay, well.
but it's a cork. It's a cork staple. That's where it's from. I was on their website today, and they have their own app, and it's called Corky Fun or something like that. And you're supposed to hashtag that your thing, drinking your Murphy Stout, and they have a whole Instagram page and stuff. So,
And it's Cork. That's the name of it.
Cork is the town in Ireland.
Okay, well, there you go.
So I thought I didn't want to bring your favorite. I wanted to bring something.
I do enjoy Smittix a lot. So that's but I mean George Killian's is pretty close to that though. It's a nice substitute for that.
And I just knew that one was something that everybody could get.
Yep.
Okay, so the Boulevard one. This is the longest running seasonal that Boulevard has done. So
I would never have guessed that.
1990 it started. And I think Boulevard started in 89 or somewhere in there.
Something like that, yeah.
So this is one of the originals, and it's still happening. Comes out every year in January, and it comes from January through March. So
Okay.
this is the only time of the year you can buy this beer.
Oh, interesting.
So it's actually almost over. So if this is something you really like today, then you
I
better go
better-
get it.
I better
'cause
go get some.
It'll be gone soon.
Okay.
This is the highest alcohol beer of anything we're drinking today.
Okay.
A whopping 5.8.
Woo!
Yeah, so hold on to your shoes.
Oh, wow.
30 IBUs. This has 6 different kinds of pale and roasted malt. So it's going to be a roasted smell, biscuitsy, bready, that sort of thing.
There's a sweet smell to it.
Sweet. I mean, it's technically the same style as this Killian's one, right? Without having had this in years, and definitely not since I've had that one, I'm going to guess this one's better.
That's so much better. I do love Boulevard though. Boulevard.
They're one of those breweries that I think people take for granted. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, when you go to you want a Boulevard wheat or whatever, it's always there. They're always super solid,
Consistent.
and it's just people forget about it. Similar to Sam Adams, but this is our regional Sam Adams.
That's is absolutely true.
Excuse me.
Okay, I would buy a 6-pack of this.
So they say this thing pairs really well with French onion soup, shepherd's pie, which I think is a European Irish sort of dish, which I like, barbecue chicken pizza, and aged cheddar. So we might want to try some more
Oh, with the little Guinness cheese.
with this. Yeah.
Okay, let's
Little
cut it
cross-contaminate.
Absolutely. With my plastic knife because we have fancy utensils at Atlas.
Yeah, we have a real knife. I saw it once.
Nah, I don't think so.
It's probably still in the sink where I saw it.
Yeah, that's probably true. All right.
Dolan, what do you think? Awful quiet on the mic today.
Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot to say.
I'm just wondering why you aren't eating the chocolate on the outside of the cheese.
Okay, well, it's not chocolate. It's wax.
Oh, it's wax.
There's a good reason for that. It ain't chocolate.
It looks like chocolate.
We'll give you a piece.
Yeah, you should try it.
So yeah, I like that beer quite a bit.
Oh, it's so good with cheese.
Oh, is it with cheese?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
So, I think we talked about this a little bit as I'm going to eat with cheese in my mouth.
People love that when you listen to that. I love it too.
We just lost. You hear all that clicking sound? That's people clicking off the podcast. They're not listening.
There goes
anymore.
the 6 clicks.
Only 2 people are listening now, and one of them is you.
Probably.
So when I was at the Boulevard Brewery last summer, when the Cubs played the Royals, and we went down and watched the Royals just annihilate the Cubs, unfortunately, that day.
Oh, thanks for adding that part.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought you were going to skim over it.
Gosh, it was like 11-2. It was terrible. It was we just got rocked. But we had a really good time, and we went to Boulevard first, which was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
They have food there, and one of the offerings that they have is they make, I don't know if they make their own cheese, but they have a very good meat and cheese tray, which was great.
I think they do make their own cheese because I know that they have a cheese that has like Tank 7 in it. Mm-hmm. I think they do that now, or they contract out with a farm down in that area or something like that. But
it was, and they made like, there's like Bavarian pretzels with cheese, like the little dipping cheese and stuff. I didn't have to eat at the game. We ate so much at Boulevard.
But did you still eat at the game?
Well, yeah. Yes.
You have to get the snacks.
Yeah. And the best part was, excuse me, it's a burp cheese.
Oh, yum.
That was gross.
The other 2 that are left are now turned off.
It's a good thing you're sitting that far away
That's
from me.
me. I'll know this is coming.
Clicking out at that point.
All right.
So the guy at Boulevard, which this was pretty fantastic. We told him because we were wearing Cubs gear, and there were a ton of us there, along with Royals fans. I mean, it's a pretty big tap room. He said, "Okay, here's the thing. Like, where do you get good beers at Kauffman Stadium?" And he said, "Okay, you can get Boulevard pretty much anywhere, but if you want like craft beer, like local stuff, you have to go all the way down the left field line and kind of curve around. And there's one stand that just does craft, and that's it.
So past the Royals Hall of Fame.
Other side, you're on right field, left field.
Yeah, I'm on left field. You're talking right field.
Oh yeah, past the Hall of Fame. Okay. Yes, you're right. Right, like left field corner, and there's one stand, and that's it. And you can get like super obscure Kansas City beers, not Boulevard, other stuff there too. So
I need to get tickets for that section of the stadium.
You absolutely, yes. Because we walked down there, we thought, we'll give it a shot, and sure enough, we walked down there, and there's some good choices. And then I ended up drinking a Boulevard Wheat later because it was there.
Well, and they have the Boulevard Party Deck or whatever it's called, something like that.
They are. This is awesome, being a Missouri-based brewery, that they're the official beer of the Kansas City Royals.
Every year they make a Royals beer. Mm-hmm. And last year it was for Salvi, our catcher.
Yep.
And that was a Mexican-style lager, and that was really good.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. He will not be... Well, he might be able to drink more of those this year because he's on the DL for the entire season.
He's got to have some surgery.
Tommy John.
Arguably one of the best catchers in baseball.
For sure. He's won like 4 of the last 5 years Gold Glove, Silver Slugger as a catcher.
Yep.
He's the only guy on our team that can hit a home run. We're talking baseball, not beer. Sorry, guys.
Met that dude last year here. Yeah, we'll get off of baseball here in a second. Met that dude in camp. He was doing his rehab assignment here in Omaha last year.
Yeah.
And we got, because I know some of the guys at the Storm Chasers, I may or may not have got some access to him early before the game.
Right.
And went and met him along with a handful of other people that had some access too. And there was a couple there. They had 2 kids, and they had Down syndrome. And these kids were wearing Salvi jerseys. Like, they were all about it, man. They were so excited. And they go to a ton of games. And as much as, like, I was there with my son, and he signed baseball or whatever, he spent so much time with those kids. It was awesome.
So it's one of those stories, because you always hear about him, and you see, as a Royals fan, I watch him a lot. He's always like gregarious and just loving life. He always looks so happy and always spends time with people, signs autographs. So that's good to hear that seems to be the case.
Every bit of that and more. Like, he was just like, hey, guys, whatever, signed our stuff, talked to us for a minute, and instantly turned to those 2, took tons of pictures, talked to them. It was great.
Yeah, I'm a Salvi fan.
Yep. I am too. I'm not even much of a Royals fan, and I dig that guy. So
I'm a fan of this Boulevard Irish.
I am too. I could drink a lot of those. So if you can get some Boulevard...
Yeah, do it, because it's almost gone. By the time you hear this, there might be maybe 1 more week left.
All right, now, what in the heck? So this is the last one. This is the Murphy's Stout. Gosh, does that mean I got to finish this Boulevard?
You can save the Boulevard. You just got to drink the other one.
Okay,
Guinness.
I'm going to do that instead.
Does that look familiar?
It does the little down bubble thing.
Imagine that. Now, if we had bigger glass... Dolan will have his maybe later.
That would be copyright infringement, I think.
Well, maybe. On this one, it's kind of cool. They give the history of the brewery, And then they show you how to pour it. And they show you the temperature that you should have it at.
Oh.
All that sort of stuff. Guinness, they didn't really tell me a temperature. They just said chill for 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
And then pour,
Yeah,
which is what I did.
Yeah.
Almost to the minute.
Chill for 3 hours. You chilled it in your Mystery Machine lunchbox.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to tell you what. Dolan's trying to chill for 3 hours, too. Most days here at work. Here you go.
That's true. He was late today, by the way. Overslept.
Car get stolen? Oh, no. That was last week.
That was last week.
Okay.
God, you're right. He's got an excuse for everything.
Oh, yeah. He paid somebody to do that, I'm sure. He got it back. No damage.
Probably.
That never happens in Omaha.
And he got a bunch of free crap out of it, too.
And sympathy.
And, yep.
Oh, boy.
Yep. All right, so Murphy's.
Notice he didn't turn the mic on.
No, he didn't.
Didn't defend himself at all.
Of course not.
This is was founded by James J. Murphy.
Imagine that.
He was one of 15 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, 1850s. Built on the foundation of an old hospital in Cork, Ireland.
Okay.
Right next to this famous, there was like a well that was in the town, and it allegedly had like holistic properties.
Oh.
So they built by this well, so their water source. And it was named the Ladies' Well Brewery because of that. So it takes 2 years for them to open. And 1856, they start making beer. By 1861, they're making 43,000 barrels.
Jeez.
This beer is a 4%er.
That's it?
Yeah, so it's a session beer, if you want to consider it that way. In our world of American craft beer.
Interesting.
This guy is kind of the hero of this town, and here's why. So he started a brewery. He employed a lot of folks. In 1885, they had a big financial issue in Cork, and the town bank was going to go belly up. People were doing a run on the bank.
Okay.
And a lot of poor people were going to lose all their money.
Okay.
And he stepped up and created a new bank, basically,
Oh.
and saved the town from financial ruin. So he was like the hero. And they wrote a song about him, or like a story, a poem.
I've heard that song.
I don't know if you have.
I Can Be Your Hero, Baby.
No, that was Enrique.
Oh.
Maybe it's a cover. Maybe that was his cover song.
Could be.
But he, they made a poem, turned into a song, and they would sing it at the pubs in Cork as like a gesture to him.
Right.
So he's like the 1880s version of Bono.
I like this guy.
He seemed to be, out of all the people that I researched, like the one that is most like some of the current people that you look up to as far as a business owner.
Jim Cook and guys like that.
Yeah. So he was doing a lot for the town. He basically just put Cork on his back and carried him through his entire life. And
dig this guy.
I guess makes a good beer. I don't know that I've ever had this before.
I love this because it's so timely for all the stupid commercials right now. Brewed using only natural ingredients. Mm-hmm. But then I don't necessarily see... Oh, wait a minute. Nah, don't really see the ingredients on here. So I'm just going to take their word for it.
So this one, to me, is a little bit smokier than the Guinness.
Smells the same.
This one would be amazing with some Kansas City barbecue. Holy cow, would that be good.
Okay.
I like this one.
I like this.
This is the best beer for me today.
I like... Oh, whoa.
Even over the Boulevard.
Whoa,
That Boulevard
whoa.
was good.
Wait a minute.
I like this one.
Well, you're a stout guy, so I get it.
I don't even consider that a stout, but it just has good flavor.
Look at the darkness, though. I mean,
I
that's...
like that darkness.
Okay, I do like this one better than the Guinness. No offense, Guinness guys,
Sorry, Guinness.
but
Rich has spoken.
I like, what's his name? Jerry Murphy?
James J.
James J. Oh, it was Jerry Guinness. That was the
Yeah,
guy's
that's
name.
what we said his name was.
James J. Murphy. I like this guy.
So here's something that I thought was kind of cool. In 1892, they won some of the first brewery competitions. So like we have them now.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Atlanta, Georgia going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know that?
Cross Train is there.
Yeah. So
They
it's
come
like
up in every
something about the
podcast.
juice.
Juice
is loose or
It's not Wheeze the Juice.
something like that. That's the name of the competition.
I think
It's
the
about
juice is...
juicy IPAs.
Oh, no, it's like The Juice Strikes Back or The
Something
Revenge
like
of the
that, yeah.
Juice or something like that.
So they're having those even now.
Mm-hmm.
But back then they had them too. And they won the gold medal.
I can see why.
In Dublin and in Manchester, England.
In Guinness's backyard, they won the gold
In
medal?
their hometown. They
Hell
took the gold
yes.
medal, right? So that's cool.
Even better.
This I thought was fun, and I didn't know this, and I wanted to maybe look up some more. I didn't have a lot of time, but in 1893 there was this dude named Eugene Sandow, and he was a world-famous strongman, which is not a job that's around anymore that I'm aware of.
Should be.
Yeah, it should be, but it's not. Anyway, he was in an advertisement for this fine drink.
Okay.
And there was a picture of him, a drawing of him lifting a horse with his hand, with one hand. And he's like, I endorse this. It makes me strong. Basically saying, look at what I can do because I drink, X amount of these a day.
I'm going to tell you what. After about 4 Coors Lights at Applebee's, I could do that.
You could
I'm
lift a
strong
horse?
too.
Oh, man.
Go ahead.
So apparently that's a famous image in their marketing now. Like ever since the 1890s, it's like a dude with a horse in his hand.
No.
So I want to look that up because I couldn't believe that. It's not on the can.
Right.
It's just like it's their family crest, but I wanted to see that. In 1913, their number 5 brewing vat exploded.
Okay.
And it had porter in it, 23,000 gallons, and it basically flooded out the town. Some people died and some people got washed down, but it was beer.
By a lot of beer.
Porter, yeah.
That's not funny, but it is funny.
Kind of is. So if this is a 4%, I don't know what the porter would have been. It would have been like maybe even stronger than this. I don't know. It's weird.
That's weird.
1914 rolls around. You know what 1914 starts?
World's Fair.
World War I.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And guess what? They needed people over there in Europe to fight. And Mr. James J. Murphy, or his family at least, said, hey, you know what? If you go fight and you come back, we'll have your job for you, waiting. We will save it for you.
I love this guy.
18 people went, 10 came back.
Hey, whatever. That's
Pretty
a
good
good
percentage.
ratio. That's a good ratio.
That's better than a Friday here at lunch.
Truth.
You know what I'm saying?
100% true.
So I thought that was interesting. And, in 1915, so a year later, they bought the first gas-powered delivery vehicle in the whole country of Ireland.
Wow.
A truck to take their kegs.
They are kicking Guinness's ass.
Right? But nobody knows about them. I never knew any of this stuff.
Wow.
1921, they were in a bottle. This is maybe sketchy, but it's a thing of the times. 4 boys, young boys, ran the bottling line. But that's what you could do in 1921.
Hey, whatever.
You got to be quick and nimble in there. I've seen the bottling line. I've seen Laverne and Shirley.
They got little fingers. It helps,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Right.
You just got to make sure they get in there and the thing.
Yep.
So that's who ran the bottling line. 1961, they switched over to metal barrels as opposed to wood barrels for their beer. So they started metal kegs, basically. And then in 1979, it finally gets to America. So that's 1 year after I was born, and that's
79?
probably isn't that crazy?
Wow. Okay.
So they were kicking it for 120 years in Ireland and Europe, and then they finally came over here.
All right. I wouldn't think that the beer palate in 1979 would be very welcoming to a style like this necessarily.
I don't know. I mean, I think in 1979 there's no craft beer, so it's all domestic lagers. This is probably something different enough that maybe people would want to try it.
That's not 100% true. Like we had the original craft beer, the Billy beer.
Well, that's not. Yeah, you can still get Billy beer to drink if you want. Like most antique stores have a Billy beer sitting around.
Could you still drink it?
I wouldn't, but you could.
Okay.
I don't know. It was probably filtered and pasteurized maybe back then.
Okay, you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean you could. I don't know that I would.
For those of you youngins, Dolan, do you know what Billy beer is? Do you know what that is at all?
Absolutely not.
No, Jamie, any idea? Billy beer? No, Sammy, no. Okay, so Billy Carter was the alcoholic brother of Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy, our president.
Of Sammy Carter, our president.
Oh.
No, of Billy Carter. Of
Let's try that again. Jimmy.
One more time. Jimmy Carter.
Holy smokes! 4%.
These are only 4%.
I know.
What is wrong with me today?
Lightweight.
So of Jimmy Carter, our president, I don't remember the number. What number was he?
So I don't know. He was in the late 70s. That's all I know.
Trump was 45. Obama was 44. Don't look it up, Sammy. Don't look at Google. So, Clinton. Who was before?
We had George Bush.
Bush. There we go. 43. 42. Bush. 41. Reagan.
Don't forget about Clinton now.
I know I got Clinton in there.
Okay, all right.
Reagan, 40.
Jimmy
Carter, 39. So our 39th president.
Peanut farmer.
Yes, he was.
You know what he did when he became president?
Huh.
He sold the peanut farm.
He probably should.
He did. He said,
Conflict of interest.
That's what he said. He said, done with this, and he got rid of it.
Yeah. Not a great president, but, great president now. How's that? He has done a lot of good for...
He's a humanitarian, man. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yes. So there you go. So 39. Was his brother was questionably an alcoholic.
He's a partier, man. He liked to get down. He had a Trans Am probably.
I bet he...
Jamming Skinner on the back roads.
Oh, with T-tops?
Heck yeah.
Yes.
He's basically Smokey and the Bandit.
I would have probably drank his beer back
I would have hung out with that dude.
Yep.
You kidding me?
Yep.
Went to a party with him, Billy Beer, with his
Billy
own
Carter,
beer?
With Billy Carter and his own beer?
So he made this beer, right? And it was everywhere. It was like dirt cheap, like $1.99 a six-pack.
Everywhere.
And people started keeping it because they thought, oh, maybe this will be worth something someday because he's the president's brother. But everybody kept it.
Everybody.
And it's everywhere. You can find it at any antique place or anything like that. And it's worth nothing.
No.
Like maybe $3 or something.
I'm surprised it hasn't eaten through the cans
I
yet.
think some of them it probably has.
Probably.
So this would be 40-year-old beer at this point.
Yes.
It would definitely be the pull top tab.
Oh, it definitely
the old school style.
Steel can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's out there. You know what?
No, we're not going to drink it.
Yes, we're gonna.
Oh no.
Let's find a can and drink it.
Oh, I bet we're
I'm
gonna
on You've been doing these throwouts lately. I
Yep.
want to do one. Let's find a Billy beer and drink it.
Gosh, we're gonna get sick.
Probably.
Okay, well we'll
Just
try to
throw some sauerkraut in that day, and we'll just call it a wash.
Fantastic. I'll get a hotel room. Yikes.
Billy beer.
All right, so if I had to rank these, I
You
would
have to.
I would definitely say Boulevard Irish Red first,
Right.
Murphy's Stout second,
Uh-huh.
then George Killian's. No offense, George Killian. I still appreciate your beer. I would order you in a restaurant if there was not,
Yeah, if you had to.
Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, George Killian's.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's my choice.
Okay.
Finally, last.
Guinness. Last place.
Guinness.
On St. Patty's Day.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Give me yours.
It's very similar. But I'm going to go Murphy's Stout first.
Okay.
And then I'd go the Boulevard. Then I'd go this one, Killian's, and then I'd go Guinness as well.
Last.
I'm just like, it's just not my style, man. It going into it. The first two drinks, okay.
I know.
And this is for me. This Murphy's one is better than that one.
100%.
I think it's better.
100%. Yeah.
So that's what we got. That's what I know.
Yep.
I think I came out of this learning I like Mr. Murphy. He's a pretty cool dude.
I do like him a lot. I'm going to read more on him.
I want to read more about that strong man lifting the horse.
Absolutely.
And then I want to go to Applebee's and watch you do it after some Coors Lights or
We'll
whatever
go.
you
We'll
said.
go. Yeah, that was just a meme on Facebook I read today, and I'm
Oh, it
like,
was?
"Yep, that's definitely me." It was like a dude with his shirt off, holding like a stick, like out in the desert, and it said "Me after 4 Coors Lights at Applebee's." And so I sent that to a couple guys here, and I said, "Hey, let's go to Applebee's tonight." So there you
Speaking
go.
of Applebee's, they have a reverse happy hour there. At least they used to.
They do have reverse happy hour. Still probably won't go to Applebee's.
That's too late for me to stay up.
Yeah, that's true.
Not happening.
All right, well, happy St. Patrick's Day. If it is just a little bit late, happy St. Patrick's Day. Please drink responsibly.
Easy to do with these 4%
Yeah,
beers.
exactly.
Right?
You could hammer a lot of these.
You can have St. Patrick's Day every day if you get some of these beers for sure.
Absolutely.
And most of them are year-round beers, except for the old Boulevard.
The old Boulevard. If you are anywhere close to the Midwest and you can get Boulevard, try that.
Get that one.
That one for sure.
You won't be sad.
The Murphy Stout too. Like if you're not a Stout fan, like this could be.
It's kind of an entryway, I would say, because it's not overpowering. It has the flavor of a stout. What you're gonna get, the alcohol level is low. I think it's pretty drinkable.
Nice and mild, pretty drinkable. It's definitely.
I was surprised.
I was too. I was scared of the can when you pulled that thing out. I did not.
You were worried about another Guinness 2.0.
Absolutely. All right, Brian. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You too.
And we'll see you next week.